And yes, and we are live. And hello and welcome. Welcome to Inspire, Innovate, Ignite, our conversations that count, from hosted and provided by Sacred You. My name is Sophia Soul, and I have the real honor of being the co-creator of Sacred You, but being today's facilitator, which I'm really excited about. This is a subject that I love, that is close to my heart. It is totally changed my life, this subject, and that is healing the spirit, holistic approaches to well-being. Because in today's world, so much, we live in an era where it's so easy to go down the road and get a pill. It's so easy to, we have pills for this and pills for that, pills to suppress our emotions, pills to cover up stuff. Where is that really healing us? And that's the questions, that's the conversations that we're going to have today. Is there another way? I'm not saying that the allopathic methods are wrong, because there's a need for everything. But is it the only way, or can we heal ourselves in a holistic way? And today, beautiful people with me today. We have some fantastic panelists with us today. So let us introduce everyone. And can I ask Denise, because Denise was our first beautiful person joining us, tell us a little bit about yourself, Denise.
Hi. Lovely to be here and to be with these other beautiful women. I suppose we're on our journey our whole life, but then there's a moment where it comes that I am going to say it, awaken to the new way of life, in the sense of, something usually catastrophic, or something happens that we see it differently, and that's when our journey actually really begins. And that's when mine began, and I would say 20 years ago. And then on that journey, I've just learnt more and more and more. And now I actually help people. I teach and support people to heal themselves through knowing their narrative, knowing themselves in love, truth, and humility. And doing that heals our body, our mind, our spirit, our soul. So that allows us to go forward and create. And whether we live simply or mightily, it's the same thing. It's about how we're doing in life, and really looking back at ourselves first, owning ourselves first before, and then going out into the world where we're taught to do the other way.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you so much. We want to know more, which we will get over in the next hour. Thank you for that. And what about the wonderful Sky? Tell us a little bit about you.
I think, like you, Sophia, especially this topic itself, is one that's really, really close to my heart. And like Denise says, like, we tend to go through something quite catastrophic, or, our lowest of lows. And, in my early 20s, I hit that. And I, was diagnosed by a doctor with PTSD, depression, and severe anxiety disorder due to a whole bunch of trauma. And when I went and started that healing journey, like, they were trying to put me on medication. And I said no. I had recognized that I was self-medicating for so long, and I knew that there had to be another way. And I knew that deep down within my core, that all taking a pharmaceutical medication for myself, and I'm saying, like, if there's a time, place for everything, and what is the right choice for you is the right choice for you. But for me, it was just like, that was just another form of suppressing, and I didn't want to do that anymore. I wanted to heal. And and that really led me down the path of learning the modalities and tapping into my own ancestry, and all that sort of stuff, to be able to bring that forward, like Denise today, to actually help people heal at the root cause, whatever that looks like, whether that's in our timeline, in our past life, or in our generational line. and look into, our shadows and really sort of find that wholeness again. So yeah, that's a wee condensed version.
And thank you. And thank you for that. And we'll definitely get to know more. And I definitely also want to talk to you more about your journey as well, because it is very inspirational and stuff. So thank you. And what about Claudia, who's joining us all the way from South Africa at 3 o'clock in the morning? I'd just like to take a moment just to honor you, Claudia, for joining us. I'm really, really, really grateful. So tell us a little bit about you and what interests you in this topic.
Thank you, Sophia, for having me, and hello, everyone. And it's a real pleasure to be here, even though it's 3 a.m. in the morning. I have a great passion for the mind, body, and spirit holistic approach. I help people with stress, overwhelm, fatigue, and burnout. And in helping people around this, I've noticed that we have lost the connection with ourselves. So it's so important to go within and connect with ourselves and the relationship with ourselves. And this is why I think the stress and overwhelm literally gets overwhelming, because we are not connected with who we are, and we are not believing the truth of who we are. So we let all these other things affect us. So my 3 pillars that I concentrate on are nutrition, that food is fuel, and sleep is life.
Yes.
Is another, and calming techniques. And this takes my clients back to reconnecting with themselves, and also going back to self-belief, a lot of introspection, inner work, so we are not overwhelmed by all the other stuff out there and what's happening out there, and concentrate on our inner worlds.
Thank you. Thank you. Looking forward to getting to know more about you and what you're offering on the journeys. And thank you for that. And I hear you about, nutrition is so important, and sleep and being calm and relaxed. So definitely, if we can embody all that, then I don't think there is a need to, for other practitioners and stuff, other medications. We can embody those things. It's kind of the holistic well-being. Thank you for sharing that. Linda, what about you? Would you like to introduce yourself all the way from the US?
Yes, thank you. I am originally from England. I've lived in the US for 30 years now. And I began my, I would say, holistic journey, or learning about natural ways of healing, just before we moved to the US, I would say. It's about 32, 33 years ago. Oh, God, I feel old now. And it was because of my dog, actually. It wasn't because of me. I had a dog who was my world, and he had heart problems, and the vets had put him on various medications and all this, and it was getting to the point where there was nothing really that could help him anymore. And I happened to see a program, it was a documentary about homeopathy. And they had on there a holistic vet, a homeopathic vet, and he used to be a traditional vet, and he was so dismissive of homeopathy initially, and he set out to prove that there was nothing to it. But the more he looked into it, the more he found that not only was there something to it, it was very profound. And one of the things he said was, people talk about placebo effect and all of that. He said the animals don't know what I'm putting in their water, or what I'm giving them, and they get better. So anyway, that piqued my interest, and I immediately went and found a homeopathic vet to help my dog. And he was at the end of his life, but he it really helped him transition much more smoothly and less painfully. So that sparked my interest, and I started studying, and I took a master's degree in holistic nutrition, and I studied feng shui, and it was fascinated by energy, the energy of the body, the energy around us, and everything is energy, you know, and how it affects us. And especially as I learned that I'm a highly sensitive person, an empath, and I've learned that the more sensitive you are, the more empathic you are, the more impacted you are by energy, because you're absorbing more of it, you're feeling more of it, you're seeing more of it, you're just experiencing a lot more because of that sensitivity. So those are typically the people I work with, the more highly sensitive people. But I essentially focus on energy, and I help them have breakthroughs in whatever area of life they're feeling stuck. And because we're working with energy, it applies to everything. So it doesn't matter where you feel stuck. Usually when people come to me, they've tried everything else they can think of, and it has not worked for them. And, you know, that's another point which may come up again later in this discussion, is that the more sensitive you are, the less traditional things or things that work for other people, the less they work for you as a highly sensitive person. So, you know, we've been talking about the importance of knowing ourselves and self-awareness, and it really is crucial, because we truly are all unique, and you can't just apply one solution to every person. So anyway, I've been doing this. I had my business for about 26 years, started as a feng shui consultant and holistic health practitioner. Now I'm an energy coach, and focus on all things energy.
Thank you. And thank you. And for everyone out there who's watching either the live or the replay, do click on the links below and connect with these wonderful people and everyone. But I can also vouch for Linda, because her experience in how energy affects us is pretty incredible. Has made some wonderful changes to my life. So thank you for joining us, Linda. Thank you. Now, can I ask Denise, you know, what do you experience? What do you think are some common obstacles that people face on their path to a holistic well-beingness, a journey of that, and how can they overcome them?
Yeah, awareness of self is one of the big ones. And I suppose their learnt narrative that they've learnt all their life, I find is a really big one, because that's what we've been, you know, I work on the pretense of love. You know, when we're born into this world, we're born into learnt love as a child. So we learn everything from our parents. So everything becomes a barter system, I suppose, a system where if this is what I receive, if I do this, I get love. If I do that, I get love. It's really the only word that comes to me is barter. But it's really a system of that, and we learn that right throughout our life. So we don't really know what true love is of ourselves. You know, if I ask all these ladies, what is love? And everyone out there, what does love look like for you? What does it feel like? What does it taste like? What does it smell like? You know, we don't know any of that. And that's something that's really hard for people to grapple, because we always go back to our old narrative.
Yeah.
That I just have to do this and they'll love me. Yes. And then if we're not loving ourselves, we're only letting people love us the way we're loving ourselves. So if that's harsh, and we think we have to do everything people please for everybody else, that's how we think love is for ourselves. So I think that's one of the obstacles that people go through. It's too hard as well. It's too hard because I don't know how to do it. I don't know what to do. But I always come forward and say, well, if you look at children, when they go to start to learn to walk and they fall down, do you tell them to give up, Or do they give up themselves? They don't, do they? They will try and get back up again, and they'll go and try and walk again. They might fall down 100 times, 1,000 times, but they'll still keep trying to do it and get up, and eventually they start walking. And we don't tell our children to give up in their spelling or anything like that. So that's what we, excuse me, need to adopt for ourselves, is that, you know, it doesn't take one go to shift us.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't take one event to shift us. It takes many steps in that direction to shift us.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for sharing that. And it's like, it's a continuation, and as you're saying, it's a journey, and no matter what happens, if we're passionate about it being, you know, on a holistic field, then we just keep going and try different things. So thank you for sharing that. And what about Sky? What about you? Do you have anything else that you would like to share about another obstacle that people may face on this path, and how can they overcome them?
Yeah, most definitely. So, like a lot of what Denise is saying, and even just a continuation of that, is you know, what we are taught essentially. So, and if you know yourself, you've become self-aware and you're like, I want to try something different, I just want to do, you know, one of the obstacles is coming up against conflict with loved ones and family members, you know, of like, oh no, that's not right. It's like, you know, you have to do it this way, or you have to do that, or, you know, all of those sort of aspects, or, you know, what you would call as like a collective shadow. As a society, we're taught that, you know, this is the pathway to do X, and anything else is just like, you know, it's woo-woo, it's not right, whatever the narrative or the story that, you know, you have been taught. And I think as well, just continuing on that aspect, then there is a lot, but sometimes people don't know how to find the information out there, you know, because they have been taught so much, and, you know, they go onto Google or whatever else, and they just get the, you know, more Western medicines, or, you know, all of that sort of stuff. So you kind of, yes, the obstacle really is like looking at your own narratives, your own beliefs about what it is, and all of those sort of things about, you know, is this actually going to work, or is this going to do this? But like, as Denise said, it's a continuation of a journey. It's not like you do this one thing and poof, you're done. It is very much like you're peeling back the layers, and that's like a journey in itself.
Yeah, it is totally. And for some people, it's very quick, and others it can take longer. And thank you. And the wonderful Dr. Google. You know how many people ask Dr. Google and rely on Dr. Google's advice, and then go down the road. You know, get a pill, the wonderful Dr. Google. Thank you. And Claudia, what about for your beautiful self? Have you come across any other obstacles that people may have in their journey, and how can they overcome it?
I think something like this you need to commit to and give it time. And like the other two ladies have mentioned, it's a journey, and it's also what works for you. So if something is not working out, try something else. There's so much out there. And I also believe that there are some people who don't believe in it, so they give up. And they're not giving it a chance. So this could create an obstacle for them, although they are wanting something different, something new, because they have tried other things, and not believing, you know, they've got to like kind of go back, reconsider everything and do what works for them. And like I said, it's a journey. And believe in themselves that something will work for them and something will help them, and give it time. Some people make the excuse or create the obstacle for themselves that they don't have time. So I think, at what cost, you got to ask yourself, and take the time and try these new modalities that could possibly work for you.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. That's appreciated. We'll get into all the different modalities too very soon. Thank you. And Linda, do you have anything else that you would like to add to this question about obstacles that people may face?
I think just a couple of things. One is, I think we very often compare ourselves to other people. Well, this worked for that person, so why isn't it working for me? I think that's a big obstacle. I think one of the most important things I've learned is that we each individually have to take responsibility for ourselves, for our own health. Yes, we work with health professionals, we work with holistic professionals, whoever we need to work with, but it's up to you, I think, to guide that. And if you go to a practitioner, a medical practitioner, whoever it is, who won't listen to you, who won't, I'm sure this has happened to all of us. I've been to people who dismissed what I had to say, who told me, well, that's nonsense, you can't be feeling that. I'm the only person who knows what I'm feeling. So if somebody won't listen to you, I think you need to own responsibility for your own health and find the person who's right for you. Find the person who will listen to you. Find the person who will work with you on your health journey. I think so often we are looking for someone to fix us or to tell us what the answers are. I know I used to get very frustrated whenever I went to see someone, and usually they would end up saying some version of, oh, well, this is unusual. I've never, nobody's ever reacted in this way before. And I used to get very frustrated with that because I think, well, why can't I just be like everyone else then? But then, I started to realize it's up to me. I've got to, if something's not working for me in the way that is expected, then that's not the right thing for me necessarily. I know, and I need to take responsibility for understanding my body, really listening to my body, and finding the people who have what it takes to support me. So yes, I think those are some of the obstacles: comparing yourself to other people, thinking you need to be fixed, and looking for the answers without just looking for someone to tell you what to do and to tell you what's the right thing. I think you have to be involved in that.
Absolutely, and thank you for sharing that. And I agree. I think, don't they say that doctors are the most trusted people in our world? So exactly, a lot of people go to them and looking for someone else to tell them what's wrong, what to do, rather than trusting themselves. So thank you for sharing that. Denise, can I go back to you? Because I've got a question just for you that I'd love you to go into is, can you explain the interconnectedness of our mind, body, and spirit? Or how do you explain it to someone who's new on this holistic path?
For me, it's I look at our body, spirit, soul, right? And our mind does come into it, but our soul is our being. Our spirit is I call it our electrical system that's allowing the energy in and out.
Mm-hmm.
And our body is our vessel that our soul a bit of our soul comes into to occupy on this earth. And our mind is the narrative that we learn and we shift through everything in our life to come back to our soul.
Okay.
So it's like everything channels into everything. And it's how there's so many lessons that are here for us to learn. And it's about how quickly we shift. And that comes back to knowing ourselves. So every aspect of ourself is very important. And each individual, and I loved what Linda said, is I know myself. I know thyself, because I'm the only person, you know, me is the only me that's ever going to be. So I am not like anybody else on this earth. And I am important as everybody else on this earth.
Mm.
We because people say, oh, you know, I'm not as good as that, but you are just as important as everybody else on this earth. And when I say about our spiritual body, it touches everybody. We are connected through energy, and everybody touches everybody. And we forget that as well.
Yes.
So, you know, everybody out there, you are so important.
Yes.
So it's really getting to know those aspects of yourself.
Aspects, and and thank you for sharing that. I want to honor you for sharing that, because wouldn't the world be a different place if we all realize that all of us are unique, but all of us are important in our own way, and we make up, we're part of this amazing world. And I really think that if we could live something like that, what you're talking about, then, we would naturally be well-being, be living a holistic and a well-being life. So thank you.
Yeah, and our light and shadow go together. We have to go through the shadow to come to the light.
Yes.
And, those are all our old narratives, our childhood shadows, as Sky says, So we, and we have the ability to move through it. We have just forgotten.
Yeah.
Every one of us are this. We know how to self-heal. We have just forgotten, because as generations have gone by, they've stopped teaching or stopped passing on the ability on how to self-heal.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. That is so important, passing on that, the ability to self-heal. We have lost that so much in the world. So thank you for sharing that. Hopefully we will go into ways that we can bring that back. So thank you. And Sky, talking about ways that we can bring that back into self-healing, what are some effective practices, holistic practices, that people can start incorporating in their daily lives?
A lot of it is just like coming back to self.
Yeah.
So however that looks to you, so whether that's meditation, mindfulness practices, I use hypnotherapy modalities, so a lot of regression work to connect back into self and just really find the core, because like as Denise said, we all have the ability to self-heal. Like our bodies on a physical level as well as a spiritual level have the ability to heal. We just need to allow that to happen. We need to allow that to happen by being in a state of rest. And, however you get there, whether it's breath work, whether it's hypnotherapy, whether it's, energy work, whether it's Reiki, like however you sort of get to that space where you can get the messages from higher self, from spirit, all those sort of things about what you need to do, why you're here, all those sort of things, because all the answers are all here. We all have them inside of ourselves. And I'm still working with a beautiful client, and that was one of the things that a beautiful gift that she gave me, was she was just so surprised about how she had all the answers. And I just said, yeah, I'm just here to hold your hand and to guide you, essentially, like as Denise said, through your darkness into your light, because you have everything you need already within you. You just need to learn to connect back into yourself and to trust yourself. And I think that's a really, really big one, is the fact that, because as Denise said, we've looked elsewhere for love and validation and all this, and everybody else to say that, you are worthy, you are valid, you are this, you are that we've lost the actual intuition and trust within ourselves to say, actually, no, that's not right. And actually, wait, hang on a minute, that is right. As Linda said, like taking that real responsibility for yourself and your own journey and your own healing, to know and to trust what is right for you and how to get there. But the biggest thing is stillness and connection to self to be able to get that.
Yeah. And that's so true. So thank you for sharing that. You know, it is that connection, and we can definitely go into ways more during the conversation on how we can develop that connection to the self and that trust that, you know, for me, our bodies know the answer. All we have to do is listen to it to be able to connect with it. So thank you for sharing that, Sky. Thank you. And Claudia, you mentioned, you know, nutrition before, that, you know, part of your passion is to help people with nutrition and sleep and being calm and stuff. But what I'd love to know is how does that impact, how does our diet impact our mental and spiritual health? And how can we, you know, encourage, not encourage, but how can we go on, enhance, that's the word I'm looking for, enhance our nutrition for a holistic diet? What are some principles?
Okay, to answer your question, I'd say people would have to avoid the ultra-processed foods.
Yeah.
Because they work on a very low vibration and have high levels of fat and sugar and a lot of preservatives, additives, which we don't want to have in our bodies. We want to keep more to a nutrient-dense, whole foods sort of diet, the fresh fruits and veg, everything going back to basics.
Yes.
Really. And keeping things simple. Food doesn't need to be complicated.
Yes.
Your lean proteins, healthy fats. And people also forget hydration, the importance of drinking water. It helps with the brain function. You know, if you don't like water, herbal teas, even like your soups and broths, it adds to your water daily take that you should be having 2 to 3 liters a day. So I think it's going back to simple things, whole foods, avoiding the processed foods, and also having fun with herbs and spices, which also have such healing properties, and adding that to our foods. And not forgetting fermented foods that help our guts, because our guts is known as our second brain. And they always say good food equals to a good mood, because 90% of our serotonin is made up in our guts.
Yes.
So we want to keep it happy and healthy. And 50% of the dopamine is made in our guts. So if we have that, you know, the fruit, the vegetables, whole grains, lean proteins, or maybe you're on a plant-based diet, vegetarian diet, make sure you're getting all the nutritional values of everything to keep you going, because food is fuel, but it's also about enjoyment.
Yes. So true. So that food is fuel, but it's also enjoying it. I don't, you know, if we have to eat stuff that we don't enjoy, I'm not quite sure how much fuel we get out of it. So thank you for sharing that. And it's so important. All right. Now, Linda, can I come to you with a different question, and then we'll go back to something for everyone, because you talked about energy. You know, you're an energy expert. Tell us a little bit about energy healing, because not everyone is into energy healing. You know, there's a lot of people in our world, and we do have a few people watching us. So I just want to say hello to everyone who is watching us, and please comment in the comments if you want to ask any questions, share anything that you like about your experience in living a holistic life. And being and experiencing a total thing of well-being. But Linda, what is energy healing? You know, what are the benefits? How, you know, for some people it's a big mystery.
I think, to me, energy healing really encompasses everything. many people think of it purely into, when you say energy healing, they think in terms of someone putting their hands on you, someone doing some kind of distance healing, something like that. I see it as everything that we do. It's really all aspects of self-care, I think, are energy healing. So I work a lot with environment, as you know. So one of the things that I talk a lot about, and it's usually the first thing I work with clients on, is we start talking about their environment and what that's like, and what is the energy, what's going on with the energy there where they live, because that is having a direct impact on their own personal energy. So if the energy in your home is clear and it's balanced and it's harmonious, then that's the impact it will have on you. But if it's stuck energy, if it's cluttered, if it's you're surrounding yourself with things that have negative energy, vibrations, associations for you, that's going to affect your health. That will affect everything, mind, body, spirit, everything. So I see it as just really being aware of what you're doing for yourself, paying attention to your thoughts. Energy healing to me, because thoughts are energy. So if you're constantly thinking critical thoughts about yourself, when you start to change those thoughts into something more positive, I see that as healing as well. Mm-hmm. So to me, energy healing, because everything is energy, we have opportunities to apply energy healing. I mean, just in the things we're talking about today, everything that we do every day when we wake up, we have the choice, the opportunity of making positive choices for ourselves, positive energy. It's being aware of what energizes you, what drains you, how things affect you, how foods affect you, how people affect you, how your environment affects you, all of that. And then just really paying attention to that and knowing what needs to change. To me, that's all energy, because it's all healing, because it's all impacting your energy. So the more you work on having that positive energy around you, understanding and mastering your energy and the energy around you, that's energy healing to me. So yes, absolutely, you can go to somebody and have an energy healing session, and that's a wonderful thing to do. Absolutely, that's going to help you. But it's so much more than that. I think it's the things you do every single day. Diet, obviously, is a really huge one. What are you choosing to put into your body? Because if you choose to put in natural foods, healthy foods, fresh foods, that's energy healing to me, because you're putting in good energy instead of the highly processed foods, which absolutely is not good energy. So it's all of those things. It's our thoughts, it's our behaviors, it's everything. It's the things we surround ourselves with, the people we surround ourselves with. I see it all as energy healing.
Thank you. And it's so true, because everything is energy, and especially, as you say, the people we surround us with and what we put in our bodies, and it all is a whole, it's a journey, it's a whole practice, as we're talking about. So thank you for sharing that. And Denise, what about you? How do holistic practices, because you're talking about self-love and how love is really the foundation. So how does holistic practices contribute to our personal growth?
Well, when we love ourselves and we're not expecting it from everybody else, and we're responsible for ourselves. And I think that's the biggest key, taking responsibility for ourselves, and loving ourselves is exactly that: the food we eat, the rest we take, the meditations we do, everything that helps ourselves, that impacts us on a positive, as Linda said, on a positive note in our life, and then our narrative to ourselves changes, and the narrative of how we to the world changes as well. It becomes more positive, because, as Linda said, even our thoughts are energy. So if we're thinking negatively of everybody else, that touches them. They feel that. They might not know what's going on, but it touches them. So they're feeling what you're putting out. You don't have to say it. You can just think it. But love is, if we, I think someone said to me, well, what would love do?
Yeah.
Because love is the greatest, is the biggest force, cuts through everything. It's the greatest energy on this universe, in the world, the universal. Love is the key, and it'll cut through everything. It's just you allowing yourself to love yourself the way love looks like for you.
Absolutely. Thank you. And as you said, love is the key. And it's so important. And I think that the more we, develop that love for ourselves, then it's a natural progress to go down the holistic path.
Yeah, and it's really taking, it's really taking on that childlike approach. Like I said before, like the child learning to walk. The child doesn't give up. The child tries a new way or a different way, or keeps trying to take that step, uses the couch to help them. So, you can get massages, you can get somebody to help to talk to, there's lots of modalities out there, but it's always coming back and saying, well, what is the truth here for me? If I'm looking at this, like you said, Dr. Google, you can get so lost in that. Well, what is the truth? What does this feel like for me? And we come back. Love is feeling my feelings, feeling the truth of everything.
Absolutely.
For what it is, not what I think it is.
And trusting that.
Yeah.
Trusting that I know my intuition, if I can then connect with that, really know what is best for me.
Yeah, that's what love is, isn't it?
Whether
knowing thyself.
For some people, love may be eating all that processed stuff, right? Maybe,
but the truth is,
yes,
yeah. So it is. It's really that being fully responsible and honest with yourself, owning yourself, and not allowing. The easy way out is to let the rest of the world dictate to you, and let everybody else tell you what to do.
And what to
do. Love is really, love is just owning who you are and taking full responsibility in the truth of that.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you. And Sky, if you have anything else that you'd like to add to this, you're more than welcome, right? And what I'd love to ask you too, because I know a little bit, about your history, and you help people with shadow work and everything else. But can you discuss the importance of, how we can integrate cultural and traditional wisdom into our practices? Our practices in today's life?
I think the biggest thing, and it's very interesting you asked me this because I did want to actually mention this anyway, so that's awesome. And Denise, she did amazing explaining it all. One of the things that I would like to put in here, and it may be a bit of a hard truth, but it also may help to integrate like a lot of cultural ancestry wisdom, is that a lot of Western medicine and a lot of Western psychology and all those things are based upon witchcraft. They are based upon the holistic practices from our ancestry. They are based upon, different cultures. They were, taken and adapted and changed and all that sort of stuff, but that's all where it come from. And one of the ways that we can sort of really integrate is sort of to really understand that, is that it did come from there. It came from a lot of, holistic practices. Someone somewhere down the line said, no, that's wrong and this is right. But how we integrate that is that understanding. And, as Denise said, coming back to love, as Claudia said, like herbs and spices and foods and stuff that are designed to heal. And, a lot of meditation and practices, all these things had come back, from way back then, and there's even finally studies on plant medicine psilocybin, all of those sort of things that, were practices and holistic practices that were used in, tribal rituals and tribal healings and all those sort of things. They're all actually finally Western society is actually going, okay, hang on a minute, maybe we got it wrong.
Yeah.
These things actually do something, and it wasn't that long ago. It was about, I think it was about 5-6 years ago, maybe, that, the Western culture actually finally admitted the mind-body connection. And if they can actually now admit the mind-body connection, they can now actually start to, integrate the holistic practices of that, which are all from our sort of ancestral lines, and bringing them forward. And it's not about carrying the anger, and it's not about carrying and holding on to that, like in the last panel of like witch wounds and stuff like that. It's, a lot of people hang on to a lot of anger due to suppression of cultural traditions and all that sort of stuff. And that's fair enough, cool, be angry, but you're actually stopping yourself from passing on those lessons and that history. And that's how we integrate it, is we start to teach it again. We start to embody it. We start to have those practices, and we start to have the grimoires, and we start to have the books, and we start to do all the things. We start to tell the children, we start to tell all our kids about how, there is another way. If you want to go that way, cool. But if you want to go this way, cool. Here's some information. Here's your history. Here's your past. Have a look into it. See if it aligns with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so much. And I love what you're talking about. And if I can just say, you've just made me aware again, like a lot of our practices today do come back from the times when we gathered in communities, and the witches as such, even in today's medicines, them in laboratories, they're mixing different things together, just like we used to do back in however many centuries ago. It's just different compounds, whether one's natural and one's chemical. So thank you for sharing that. That definitely does stem from that. Thank you so much. Now, I've just realised the time. We've only got 15 minutes left, roughly. So, Claudia, what I'd love to ask you, and we'll go around everyone, is with all the practices that are available, right? We've got a whole heap of different holistic practices. For anyone who is interested in integrating a holistic practice into their life, where do they begin? And how do they prioritize it? And if you want to share anything about your actual practices, what you actually offer, please do.
I think to help people to find out where they begin, I think you've got to ask them, what is it they want and what are they looking for? And I find in my practice, it's a lot of things. Everything that has to do with self-worth has been a big thing in my practice. It always comes up, how they're feeling about themselves. They're feeling lonely, or they're struggling with past traumas, a relationship, childhood traumas. And although we're talking about stress and overwhelm, when we actually unpack everything, it lands up being something else that's actually bothering them. So you think it's one thing, and then it turns out to be another. And going deep into the self, after you ask the coaching questions, and they're coming up with their own work, their own inner knowing, and intuition is telling them A, B, or C, you find out that they're not trusting themselves. And it's something I can't tell the audience, prioritize trusting yourself, because this is something, it's a journey you need to learn, and it takes time. And looking back at what changed that belief. So it's also a lot around limiting beliefs. what people have of themselves. And like I said earlier, when you think there's a problem with A, but it's actually, there's more to it as you peel the onion.
Yes.
And then that becomes the priority, to work on that and unpack what's going on and how that person actually needs that inner healing, whether it's going back to the inner child and acknowledging what's going on there to move forward. So I think it depends on the situation and what the person is going through.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Try. Thank you. Thank you. And what are some of the things that you actually offer? I know you've mentioned, you're working on the, the nutrition, sleep, and helping people being calm. But how can, and if you'd like to mention, we have got all your links in the comments, but what are some of the things that you can offer?
So what I offer is online and in person, one-on-one coaching. I do group workshops, and I also facilitate cacao ceremonies.
Oh,
and there's a place for that too.
wonderful.
So it just depends on what's happening. If the client would like the cacao, the heart medicine, we will work with that too with the coaching.
Mm-hmm.
Or it depends how they feel. If they're open to it, I think it's also something you've got to be open to, because it's a gentle nudge. It's helps with those people who just need another type of reconnection besides just chatting. It awakens other sorts of things, maybe just being more open, as it's known as the heart medicine. So yes, so workshops, one-on-one coaching, and online and in person, and the cacao ceremonies.
Also, it's wonderful. I want to talk to you more about your cacao ceremonies. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And Linda, what about you? Do you have anything else that you would like to share on, how can we integrate, or how can people integrate the various practices? There are so many practices that we can integrate. Where should they begin?
Well, I completely agree with Claudia in that you have to dig to find what is the real problem. I always tell people what you think is the problem is never the real problem. So, what is it you want and what's going on for you right now? And I think, there's no one path. As we've talked about, there's no one path that's right for everybody. So I think it's about paying attention, knowing yourself, gaining clarity on what's really going on for you, and then I think explore. And that's why Sacred You is such a wonderful place to come, because there are so many different options you can explore. And then, the importance of connecting with yourself, trusting yourself, knowing yourself. When something feels right, then you explore that a little more. And maybe that's something you really want to go into more. There are so many things that you can do, but I think it always comes back to knowing yourself, having clarity about what it is you want and what's going on for you, and trusting yourself again, but knowing what feels good and what doesn't feel good. Just because somebody says, because I think very often so many practitioners are so in love with their modality. This has helped me. This is the most wonderful thing. It's going to help everybody, and everybody should do this. It doesn't mean that it's the thing for everybody. That's why I think we have to explore for ourselves. It may well be a wonderful thing for you, but it might not be. And you won't necessarily know that until either you try it or you pay attention to, what does this feel like to me? Does this feel like something I want to explore more? Or is this, feel like something that's not a real fit for me right now? So the more you know yourself, the more you're able to do that. But being in community, I think, is one of the best things, because you learn from each other, and you can explore different options and find out what's worked for other people, not so that you can be like them, but just to hear of people's experiences. That's why I think it's so beneficial to have things like this, because you just bring different information to people. But it does come down to knowing yourself, to trusting yourself, and being willing to take responsibility and explore what will work for you. And what do you start with? But don't try and do it all at once. You're not going to just suddenly wake up tomorrow and be completely different. It is a journey. Everybody's said that. It is a journey, and you start with where you are right now, and you take one small step at a time. Try this. Does that feel good? Does that work for me? Yes, right. I'll do more of this, and maybe I'll add in this. And so that's really what it's like.
Absolutely. Thank you. And tell us about what you offer, and a little bit about this tribe that you also host.
So I host a Feng Shui Success Tribe within Sacred You, where we talk about all things related to the energy in your environment and how that impacts you, and how you can change it to be more beneficial so that it supports you. So we talk about simple, practical things. It's not about, necessarily making huge changes. But again, we talk about what's going on in someone's life, and then we look at how is their environment impacting that. So it's a lot of fun. I love doing that. And how I help people, essentially I have community. Harmony Inside and Out is the name of my business. It's also the name of the community that I'm building, of primarily highly sensitive professional women who usually have felt most of their lives that there's something wrong with them, because that was the message they received growing up, because they felt so different from everybody else. So it's helping them to learn that there's not something wrong with them, and helping them to understand themselves, why they're different, how they're different, what that means for them, and again, exploring what will work for them. So I have community, I have programs and coaching, individual coaching, but I usually like to start by just getting people to experience the community, to start learning what kinds of things I work with, and having a call with me so that we can talk about their situation, because I don't know if I'm the right person to help someone unless I talk to them and know what's going on for them. So
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And again, I thoroughly recommend everyone connecting with not just Linda, but all these amazing women, and come and join the Feng Shui Success Tribe. You will have lots of fun and get so many benefits from it. That is one thing I do guarantee. I've experienced a lot of benefits. So thank you for sharing that, Linda. And Sky, what about you? Do you have any advice for people who want to integrate holistic practices into their life, but where do they begin? Like, there's so much out there. How do people know what to use, what to do?
Yeah, most definitely. And I think Linda and Claudia both touched on it really well. And I think, Linda is right. There are so many different modalities out there, and, what works for one person may not align with another person. So it is all about sort of, discovering what is going to be in alignment with you. Is it going to be starting with a bit more of a nutritional practice? Is it going to be starting with a bit more of like a yoga or an exercise practice to start connecting in? Is it going to see an energy worker? Is it going to see a holistic practitioner or a naturopath? Or, just sort of really like taking a moment to actually sit with yourself and going, okay, where is the right starting for me? And not being afraid to, reach out to people and reach out to practitioners and go, hey, like, I've been following you, or this or that. I know for myself, and I'm 99% sure, like the women on the panel here and everyone else, like, I don't actually work with somebody until I consult with them first. Because one, they need to know, like, and trust me, and two, I need to know, like, and trust them. And I say to all the people I consult with, I'm like, if we get to the end of this call and you'll be like, Sky, you're a nut job, No, please tell me, because 9 times out of 10, I also have a back pocket full of other practitioners. I can go, awesome, what are you looking for? I may know somebody, and I've been to psychic and healing fairs where I've had tarot readers take my details for the exact same reason. It's just like, oh, can I put you into my little black book? Go for gold. Like, because what some people may come to me and be like, nah, this doesn't align, but I'm kind of looking for this, and be like, oh, I know a person. Go reach out to them. I know them personally. I can, referral system almost. And, and I believe that's kind of where we really start. Is just taking that moment to go, okay, what does it look like to me? What does it feel like to me? And how does that evolve? And like, as I think it was Linda, if you try it or you're talking with someone, you're like, yeah, I'm not really sure about this. It's okay. It doesn't mean that you give up. It doesn't mean that you failed. It just means that you've discovered that this is not in alignment with you. You're allowed to change course.
Yes, thoroughly agree. Thoroughly, absolutely agree. If I could just share personally, it took me a little while and going through different modalities before I discovered sound healing. And that's when my body really woke up. And that's how, for me, how I knew what was right, because you listen to your body and it kind of goes, yes, this is what I'm.
That's the thing.
Thank you for sharing that. And tell us a little bit about what you offer. I know you do the shadow work and everything else. What else? What else can people connect with?
So I do a few different offers. So we can do like one-to-one mentoring, and a lot of that is, I had a beautiful client describe it as a complete excavation, so I'm totally taking it because it's kind of right. My jam, my superpower, my specialty is I'm really good at human behavior. I can talk to people and know why they are doing the things and the cycles that they are in and all that sort of stuff. So I do a complete complete breakthrough, and I find all of the ways and all the hows that you've ended up into the space today, and then create like a complete personalized sort of action plan from there, using hypnotherapy, using NLP, as a lot of my healing, as well as, Reiki, energy work, all the things. I kind of like bring it all in, as well as then working on things like mindset coaching and, and communication work and boundaries, like all the things. You can just see me for shadow integration or for clearing or anything like that. It doesn't have to be, in a 4-month mentorship program. It can just be, one-off sessions because you're just looking for this particular thing. I also haven't, but I will be getting back into it now as this beautiful panel, connecting myself back into spirit. I've had to take a wee step away. Going back into like workshops, and they will be advertised through Facebook and emails, as well as, I have courses. I have a subscription or a membership, which is just like a monthly fee, which is like my group coaching, where you can have access to everything that I've created, as well as I collaborate with another coach in there as well. And, that's just like a low monthly fee. You can go work at your own pace, jump on a call with us once a month, and just, pick our brains, all of the support, all of the community type thing. And I know very soon I will be having a tribe within Sacred You as well. I'm just waiting for some back end crap to be finished.
We are really looking forward to that.
Yeah, so I'm just waiting for some back end stuff to be completed and migration work to be done. So, yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. And we look forward to your trial. And Denise, what about our beautiful Denise? Is there anything else that you would like to add on how people can integrate, holistic practices within their life? And then tell us a little bit more about what you offer.
Awesome. These ladies have just said it so beautifully. And come back to yourself. Keep coming back to yourself and seeing where you are. And it's really like, what's happening to me here today is following that thread and seeing where it come from, because all our energy, all our shadows are from our childhood. So why I'm angry and anxious and upset and my life isn't working out here is because I've created beliefs. There's a thread I need to follow to the core of why I'm behaving this way today. And yeah, just really be kind and gentle to yourself. It's not a race. It's never a race. It's such a journey of discovery, curiosity. Get really curious with yourself. Why do I think this? Where did that come from? It's really getting curious, as children do. I love looking at children, and they're so curious about how this works and how that works. It's about yourself as well, getting really curious within yourself as, oh, why do I always do it this way? There might be a better way, you know. So it's really allowing yourself and giving yourself permission is the biggest thing I feel, is giving yourself permission to get curious, to get to know yourself, get to know what love is and what the truth of all of that is. And then being aware of the narrative, or even your patterns, the patterns that I keep swinging to and I keep going to and I keep hitting that wall. And a beautiful thing I would love to say is every action we take, there is a feedback there for us to see.
Yes.
The feedback is, if we ignore the feedback, there'll be just somewhere else where that'll come up again, and it's that same feedback. But if we catch it, we're able to heal that in that moment.
Yes.
That's what it is. For every action, they say action and reaction, but for every action, thought, speak, whatever it is, there is a feedback for us to look at. And always I say, is this loving or unloving? Because that's how we live life. It's either loving or it's unloving.
And
yeah.
it's true.
Yeah.
So true. It's either one or the other. So thank you. And
Yeah.
we go back into that self to saying, you know, which way is it? Thank you. And very quickly, what are you offering?
I do one-on-one sessions, and on Zoom or on in person. What else do? I do kinesiology. I love doing the energy of kinesiology with that. So I work all the modalities that I've done. You know, as we all do, we sort of create our own energy work out of that. So I'm very much about shifting energy, clearing the body, for our body to catch up, because I do know that, you know, when we heal, we instantly heal in the soul, and then our spirit body, which is our chakras and everything, they take a little bit to balance, and then our body, and depending on what we're putting into our body is how quickly our body will heal as well. So, you know, it all happens in a moment. So, and I teach people and support people to move through themselves and teach them to do the same for themselves, so then they can go and do it out for everybody else and change the world. Because you can't change the world, but you can change yourself. Changes the world.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for saying that. And I thoroughly agree. You know, a lot of us do want to help the world, but it all comes down to helping ourselves. So thank you. And thank you everyone for joining us. Now we are over time, and I want to acknowledge your time, and for everyone who's watching us. Before we go, is there anything else that anyone would like to share that's, you know, very quickly, anything else? Because one thing that I know about panel discussions is sometimes we leave them and we go, bugger, I really wanted to share that. So anything else that anyone want to share very quickly? Yes, Denise.
I would just love to let everyone out there, know that you are the most important person on this earth. You matter. Everything about you matters. You're here for a purpose and a reason, and that's to love yourself so you can expand that out to the rest of the world and to show everyone else how to love themselves in truth and know the truth of everything. And you get to choose.
Thank you for sharing. It's appreciated. All right. Anyone else like to share one last final word before we wrap it up? Linda, you good? Yep, Linda's coming off
I
mute.
think Denise said it beautifully. I have nothing to add. That was perfect.
All right, thank you. And again, I'd like to really thank you, Denise and Sky and Claudia, for getting up at 3 a.m. To join us. It really is appreciated. And Linda, who's tuning in all the way from the Northern Hemisphere, really appreciated. Thank you for everyone who's been watching the live and also the replay. And again, click on the links below, reach out to these amazing women and connect with them. Thank you to our beautiful VA Maymuna, who's been putting all the links in. And for everyone who's watching, 2 quick things. First of all, come and join us. Come and join us for our panel discussions. Come and join Sacred You for just $1. You can join us for 2 weeks. Try everything out, including Linda's amazing feng shui tribe. Right, you get to come and join that just for $1. Try it all out for 2 weeks. We've got so many other tribes. We've got tarot reading and astrology and human design, all sorts of stuff that help heal us in their own different way, in a holistic way. All of our tribes actually do. We've got self-love tribes, everything else. Come and join us. Click on the link below. And if you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, because we are on a mission to get our subscribers numbers up to 1,000 very, very soon. So hit that subscriber button on YouTube. We would really appreciate it. And until next time, which is, I've got no idea what is coming up next time, but it's only a few days away. Let me have one last very, very quick look. I do believe it's only in 3 days' time. We've got mindfulness in the digital age, balancing technology and inner peace. Oh my God. Do come and join us in 3 days' time. Until then, wherever you are in our amazing world, remember your magnificence, and remember, in Denise's words, that we are all worthy. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.